This is about 11.1 new features. Everything that's in 11.1. It's from 3 days ago, and I'm curious about it.
I have a lot of new things to share with you today. So, Drive is in. It's just as fast and as fun as Blizzard said it would be. It's actually way faster than most of us expected. It's not exactly what we thought it would be, and to some people it is too much, but that at least means it's interesting. Then,
Too much?
Warband campsite.
There's no way. It's too fast.
Are actually in. They add a whole new type of collectible to the game. There's a whole
I am really happy about this. This is something that I hoped they would do as soon as I'd seen the
impressive UI
campsite
built around
feature
all
release.
of it. And of course, this is all because patch 11.1 is on the PTR, and we have played a hell of a lot of it. We've dug around, and good news actually, this patch does have quite a lot of neat things in it. Well, the most obvious thing to talk about is Drive. Basically, Drive is just a whole new way of getting around on the ground. Obviously, dragon riding completely ended up being a game changer for WoW, and in some ways, Drive blows it out of the water. I mean, in terms of speed, it absolutely does. These things go screaming
it looks super fast.
And basically, once you're in Undermine, you'll unlock a new mount. It's not really a mount, it's actually a vehicle, though you do summon it in like it's a mount. The difference is it gives
oh my god, this looks like so much fun.
Vehicle UI, and that vehicle UI has
this is exactly what I hoped it was going to be like. Look how fast.
Because yes, we've got boosts, and basically this is proper kart racing. It's kind of
oh my god, stop running into
crazy.
shit.
And Blizzard really have nailed all the specifics,
the
sorts of things that honestly I never really expected would work well in World of Warcraft. So you've got the physics of acceleration, of turn speed, and drifting.
Oh my god,
tuned all of that, built the systems, and it feels really good. And that means that just drifting around Undermine, just on the main roads, actually feels really damn fun. But of course, like the best of, say, playing Mario Kart, you can learn the map. You can have fun little shortcuts and ways to cheese things, which I really like.
This is so great. Can you imagine the races that they'll probably put in later after everybody gets used to the system, where we'll have like actually Mario Kart in the game?
Just stuff like boosting off ledges, getting incredible airtime. That does just make traveling around obscenely quick.
I want to see you go fast.
Undermine is really not a massive zone. Like, seriously, it's not compared to something like, say, Zaralet Cavern. The difference is we do it in the ground, and it is way, way more dense than we would usually expect.
I'm
which
so
of course
hyped
makes sense because it's supposed to be a city. So right now, you've only got one.
I'm a backseat driver. Actually, yeah.
One car, it's called the G99, but there's already some customization options that you get immediately. So you can pick from 5 different colors, 3 different engines, 3 tire types, and then 3 boost types, and you can even pick a companion, so someone's riding shotgun with you, but that actually doesn't work in the PTR yet. Now,
Look, this is what I'm talking about when we say that a game should innovate on its core systems and add things that are just a straight up improvement of the things that the game has, that are crazy new creative features that you could put into the game to make it fresh and like, because obviously ground mounts are kind of boring and stale at this point, right? So this is a perfect way to, not even as a headline expansion feature, but in just a regular patch, add in something that's truly innovative and exciting and different way to engage with the game in a core fundamental level. This is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm talking about.
It needs to be reined in a little. Now,
oh shit, I accidentally clicked the wrong button and it sent me to the front of the video.
Cost of top speed, canyon, so someone's riding shotgun with you, but that actually doesn't work
so
in the
proud
PTR
of you, Blizzard.
Yet. Now, your engines and wheels and all of that are kind of just like customization in Mario Kart. So the engines change your acceleration and your top speed. Of course, you can go for the middle ground. You can increase your acceleration at the cost of top speed, or just drop acceleration to have a complete top speed build, which will be really good for like timing a race if you can pretty much play perfectly.
This is so cool because you're going to be able to see how, like, what your tendencies are as a driver and what you need to focus on. Like, do you need more drifting ability or do you need more acceleration? I feel like that's something that might end up being kind of unique to each player.
And never lose the speed that you accrue. Kind of neat. Then there's the tires that do what you expect. They just change how grippy your wheels feel whenever
this is
you're
so
place.
sick.
And the boost options
so
basically
excited.
change how much of your boost meter is used at once. So basically you can have a very large boost, but one that will blast through your whole boost meter. And to be honest, the full blast boost meter really, really does feel amazing. That being said, right? There are some issues. There are camera problems and there are stutters at high speed. And some of that's because you're actually just going so goddamn fast that depending on your computer, World of Warcraft is sitting there screaming while it's trying to load the assets in. Just like all the little doodads and things you can see around the place. And of course, sometimes ground collision can be pretty jarring because this still is World of Warcraft. If you crash into a wall, then, well, it's, you know, just like you're pressing the W key into a wall, which doesn't exactly fit how driving, I think, should feel. Anyway.
Well, just stop hitting walls. It's a skill issue. And honestly, the camera stuff, I bet somebody will fix it with an add-on.
This is very much a development feature. I think it's really promising right now, and there'll be a full deep dive video from us next week in that. And that's because there is so much more to cover today.
Dude, I've gotta go to the PTR and try it. I gotta try it.
Our sponsor. You're an absolute favorite of mine and big supporter of the channel.
I normally don't do what a lot of YouTubers do, which is go to the PTR and play the crap out of the patch before it comes, because even though that's probably smart, I like being excited on patch day with like being surprised and delighted by what's in there. But if there's something that's just I cannot stay away from, like I might try this one.
So here's the deal with them, right? They'll teach you back-end development using the core technologies of Python and Go. But more importantly, they're a cut above the rest because they're designed by people like you and me for people like you and me. That's because the founders are actually big gamers as well. And what's cool is it's a community RPG. Just look at this. This is their real-time leaderboard. It is so cool just seeing people do their lessons. They have a super active Discord. And on the platform, they've got quests, XP, community boss battles, all of that supporting an extremely thorough, detailed, and career-focused learning pathway that, yes, will take you from the basics like Python, learning the likes of Lua, right through to full back-end development. And you've got fun side quests along the way, like remaking asteroids in Pygame, and vital adjacent skills like mastering Git. So back-end development is also an awesome, well-paid career. You have an average of like 100K compensation, great contracts, flexible working, and these are, of course, proper foundational programming skills. Boot, just do it better than anybody else, and you can check them out today at boot.dev/bellular. There, you'll get 25% off your first purchase. I go annual for the biggest saving, and if it's not for you, 30-day, no questions asked refund period, and you can browse their materials and check out their site, all that stuff for free. Let's talk about Warband Campsite. So usually Blizzard releases a feature in a kind of half-baked form, like with the UI updates that just slowly happened over time. But to be honest with you, this one does actually look like the full job. So as soon as you hit your character list, you're going to notice a few new buttons there. One of them will list your own campsites, and those are the different ones that you can swap.
Okay, I want one of Ardenweald, and I want one of Ashenvale, and I want one of Faralos, and I want... that's it. Yeah, that's... Oh, Zanger Marsh. Grizzly Hills. I think we kind of have that one already, though. Oh, I want Darkshore. Darkshore. Oh, give me the Darkshore map. I want it to be gray with a water there, and I want it to be raining, and I want there to be encrusted tide crawlers crawling in the background. And maybe like an owlkin who's just like watching you from afar creepily.
Then there's a randomize from favorites option and an apply to all camps button. And that's a button that you're now going to need because there's actually a new button.
Is that Nagrand?
That adds new camps. So
I don't like that when it's too sunny.
Basically, think of these camps like folders that can store 4 characters at a time. So if you've got, say, a few Horde characters, a few Alliance characters, or maybe if you play in a few different servers, well, you could group all of those characters together in their own campsite, and then you can basically rename those groups of characters. You can give them their own campsite and all that stuff, which honestly is kind of cool. I mean, come on.
That's immersive. Because now you feel like you're visiting different little villages that you've created all over the world.
We're gamers. Give us something to organize and we'll go and organize it. That. Sadly, right now, you can't reorder them and there are a few minor...
Wait, you can name it anything you want?
Thank you, Optimus Prime.
I bet there's probably restrictions on what you can name some
bugs that we found, but I've got to imagine those will be fixed by the time it hits live.
I don't know about letting
you
players
can actually
do that.
see the Blizzard are treating this seriously, not just as a gimmick thing. And that's because the collections window has actually got a whole new tab for these. So these really are like a new type of...
A new collection? Oh. Are you telling me there's a new thing for me to collect?
Ongoing collectible in
Oh no. This is what it's going to be like when they add housing, by the way. I bet with housing, there's going to be a new tab under here. Wait, I just realized something. What if they have another tab that's houses you can collect? And this is like a way for them to sort of test. No. Because Elder Scrolls Online has something kind of like that. But can you imagine being able to just scroll through and collect every house? That if they could pull that off and then also have like collection tab for housing furnishings. Damn. That would be pretty incredible. That would be pretty incredible. Because Elder Scrolls Online currently has the best housing in this space. But I think that the furnishings, you still have to put like in a storage in your house. Or unless they've changed that recently. If you could just collect them in a catalog like you do with anything else in WoW, they would then, I think, have the best system in gaming, in MMO space for player housing. Yes. Teapot is a fantastic system, but it's not really an MMO. Yeah.
World of Warcraft. I've got to assume that means that as time goes on, we'll get pages and pages and pages of those things.
Yes!
So it's its own type of the collectible menu. It's got...
So what are the other ones? Cultist Quay? Oh, the goblin one. More appropriate goblin back screen. I like the Kazan jungle background that they decided to give the goblins for their character. You know, outside of the Warband, the goblins have the jungle, beautiful, lush background. And a lot of people had an issue with that, but like, what's the alternative? You want to put the goblin in front of like piles of trash and garbage, like how they normally live?
A whole bunch of different things, like it gives you a grayed out preview, it tells you the source
This is actually a nice goblin.
Things. Though right now in the PTR, there's only 3 that have come up, and those are from Delver's Journey in Season 2, the All That Kaz achievement, which is to max out all of your Kaz-Algar renowns, amongst a few other things, and then there's one for the Racing to Revolution achievement, which is basically for finishing most of Undermine. All pretty cool stuff, but as it turns out, that's not the end of the UI improvements. There's a chance some of you will never look at this, but you really should because it's cool. What Blizzard have done is they finally added performance tracking for add-ons. So there's a big one here in the menu, and you can also see it over here. And basically this means that if you start to get, say, frame rate dips in a dungeon or a raid, you can take a quick look at this and you can see if it's an add-on problem and even which specific add-on is giving you the troubles.
That's
now,
good.
It's not completely comprehensive. Like, there are definitely more nerdy details that would be great to see, but basically this will let you know if you need to get rid of any outliers that are causing problems. If you look at the add-on menu version, it's actually even better. That's been upgraded to show the dependencies and to show average CPU usage on mouse over, as well as a search, which is pretty good if you've got a humongous list of add-ons. But that's far from it from the upgrades because
I do have a humongous list of add-ons, so this is going to be really helpful for me.
we've now got this on our map. It's a full-on event tracker, and the way they've done this is they've added new tabs to the side of your map. So one of those tabs is just the map legend, which is a thing that they added with this expansion, but the new thing is a full timeline for all of the events that are happening in Kaz-Algar.
What? So I don't have to use a weak aura for that shit, or an add-on, or check Wowhead for that shit anymore?
This is one of those things where for the more experienced players, we kind of didn't really need that, and I know loads of people would get weak auras that handle this sort of thing, but for it to just be there in World of Warcraft's
It will
actual
look much nicer than the jank-ass looking weak aura.
UI, and not be a weak aura that somebody has slung over to the side of their screen that they'll just forget and will sit there cluttering the place up forever. This is great. The sort of thing that World of Warcraft's default base UI absolutely should be doing, so that people don't feel like they've got to go and look at, you know, Wowhead for absolutely everything. The next change to cover, honestly, is absolutely goddamn massive. Swirlies. Swirlies have been the bane in everybody's life forever, and now they're actually slightly better. So take a look at this. This is the new swirly graphic. Just any of those swirlies that bosses randomly throw
Oh my god, it's like Final Fantasy.
at you, you know?
Oh my god, it's like Final Fantasy swirlies. It's much more clear.
This is the new swirly graphic, just any of those swirlies that bosses randomly throw at you, you know?
There's only one problem I can see with it. The problem is they're blue. And I feel like new players will think it's a buff till they die. So I guess you'll learn that lesson quick.
Throw at you, you know, if you're a Blizzard designer and you just feel like you want to make your players feel a little bit more stressed, you just throw in a bunch of swirlies. That can be really annoying, and much of the reason
Oh god, what if you're a frost mage? True.
is because the old swirly graphic wasn't extremely clear in where it actually ended.
You had to trust your heart on that shit. Okay? Like, just... that's something you feel with your soul. Where's the edge? You know. You know. Or you'll learn.
If you take a look at this, well, yes, there is a crystal clear outline, and that does mean
It's
they're a
less
little bit less
immersive,
immersive,
yeah,
but I think that is a
okay.
tiny sacrifice for actually having good readability into the fight that you're doing. I think this is actually kind
think
of
it's
huge,
great.
and this is going to be, of course, the new normal going forward, which is just one of those things where
Maybe they could have made him more swirlier, but just have a clear edge. You know?
we'll get used to it, and then we'll kind of wonder, man, how did we last without these for so long? Then we've got a whole bunch of class changes, and I'll be doing all of these completely in depth. There's already a video on Marksmanship Hunter, but basically the good news is
I watched that video already. Everybody's so happy that Marksmanship Hunter is going to get a rework and it's going to be so smooth and so fun and so satisfying to play. And I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. That's my main spec. I'm happy to, I'm glad. But I don't mind. I mean, I can just get a battle pet that looks like the pet that I love and know, my little buddy Peepo. And everyone's like, oh, you weren't supposed to be using a pet anyway. Why were you even using a pet? It's a damage loss. That's not the best spec for marksman. You shouldn't have been using a pet. You should have been using Lone Wolf this whole time. Why the fuck did you even have to? Because I love people. And I don't, everyone's like, well, just go play Beastmaster instead. What's the problem? All of us marksman hunters are happy. Good riddance. Play survival. You have 2 specs where you can still have your pet. I don't see the I liked Peepo and I like shooting the bow. Okay, I don't like Beastmaster. I think it's boring. Survival's good. It's an alt spec. It's not a main spec. Okay, I'm a little sad.
on MM, actually playing it, it feels pretty
Where's that eagle? I don't even see it
damn
here.
good. I mean, when you're
Oh, I see. Oh, he's quick though. Did you see that? Could barely. You gotta keep it. You gotta look fast. He's about to
feels
dive
pretty
bomb it.
damn good. I mean, when you're fully
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, the eagle's pretty cool, but it's not
stacking
Peepo.
up your aim shots, and you're just lining up the new precise shots mechanic and doing all of that stuff
It's not
well,
Peepo.
and getting into flow. Man, it hits hard, the flow feels way better, and Blizzard's, basically their bet was to refocus on balancing aim shot and rapid fire, and that just feels like it has fundamentally cleaned up the spec way better. And it's also really cool having the new eagle thing, at least from my perspective. I mean, having a stun that's ignoring line of sight, having access to bloodlust without having to fiddle around with summoning and dismissing a pet, like that is a humongous improvement. And actually the eagle's bloodlust visual is really cool, like the visual and the sound. Of course, look, it's controversial for a lot of people moving away from pets on MM, and I think it would be really cool if the eagle had some like customization stuff going on.
Thank you.
But basically, the spec changes to MM feel
Bellular, listen. Now will the devs listen to Bellular? They won't listen to me, but they might listen to Bellular. Let me have people, please, for the eagle instead.
really good. But the good news is that if you play BM or SV, well, the
Listen.
pack leader revamp is there for you. And at least so far, it does seem really cool. Just the visuals of summoning in the bear, the wyvern, and the boar are just really cool. And on the topic of new visuals, shamans, you've got a new lightning bolt.
Beastmaster
And
is
it does
boring.
look cool and new and shiny.
Wait,
but,
what? New lightning bolt?
and it is like an upgrade in quality, like fidelity-wise, but it is
What the?
very different. This is a lightning bolt that is basically a
It's a ball lightning.
flying projectile rather than a lightning bolt.
It's
as
not
in
a lightning
bolt of
bolt.
lightning that is moving pretty much instantaneously. And it's also kind of the wrong color. So, Blizzard,
What the f- is this shit?
maybe just, a few little tweaks there. I like what you're going for, but I think it needs to be reined in a little. Now, there are some other class changes as well.
I don't want to shoot a ball lightning. I want to shoot the... I want the lightning to be like that's how lightning is.
Demon Hunters, actually good news, you're getting a bit of a look. Enhancement Shamans, but also Druids and many healers, so it'll be really fun to just do those in depth over the coming weeks. That being said, I've talked about a lot of things, but not necessarily the core bit of this new patch, which is the city of Undermine. Okay, time for
Yes. Yes.
the world content of this patch. So first, they've added a chunk to the ring.
There's so much great, truly great, incredible stuff in this patch. And there's a couple little things that just irk me. Just drive me crazy.
Which is where you start the quest, but eventually you will make your way to Undermine, which is the big goblin capital city. And when we get there, we very much find out that it's not in good shape. It's essentially a massive underground shanty town. It's laid out in a circle, and it is built perfectly for driving around.
Yeah.
And then it's a big circle. If you like drifting, it's a good place to go drifting.
Right.
Now, it does feel small, but it's also a city, so it is incredibly dense, to the point where I don't think this is them, skimping out on a patch. Seriously, it
it's
is way
dense
more
city.
dense, so that is a good thing.
So is this a city that's going to feel lived in? I expect, too, that it's going to feel smaller if you're constantly traveling at, Mach 10.
Now, if you are worried about this being too goblin-y, or perhaps not goblin-y enough, I think Blizzard have actually managed to strike a balance here. The worry was always that this would just feel like a big joke, because goblins have kind of been that in the past. Well, the questline is mostly serious. It deals with goblin society, pretty well. Gallywicks, there's a few surprises, but then the zone itself has still got the silly charm, but in a way where it doesn't feel completely cheap and stupid. So you've got explosions, trash, stupid goblins trying to hustle their way to getting some quick gold. Basically, everything that you would want to see from goblins. It doesn't seem that they've went too far in that regard, and they've actually tried to keep the quest content decently self-serious. Now, the world gameplay is mostly the usual, but they've tried to make that just differentiated by dialing up the goblinness. So we've got world quests that are ground races instead of skywriting races, and then we've got shipping and handling, which are basically Grand Theft Auto-like missions. Yeah, we got that in WoW. So you basically drive to a location, solve a problem, then go to the next one. Then there's a new thing called the chat list. This is basically...
It's GTA.
Just a quick way for you to go around and get some Valor Stones by ticking things off a list. And then there's scrap jobs, which basically are, what they sound like. Rambling around the local scrapyard trying to find some copper and not getting caught. All these activities have their own weeklies attached for reputation, and that, combined with decent world quests, bonus objectives, and the usual rares and treasures, because they're always there, do make this not revolutionary, but actually pretty decent. It's one of those things where some of the...
Not revolutionary. You're driving in... They put Mario Kart in the game. What are you talking about? They spent all their time putting new driving mechanics and physics into the game. I would say that's pretty revolutionary. I think that they don't need to reinvent the wheel with everything else that people tend to typically like as well. I mean, Goblin
of the
Theft
quests
Auto.
and just the locomotion with drive actually does make it feel a bit more fresh as a gameplay experience.
Well, yeah, that's...
There's also 2 new special assignments here as well, and a whole ton of side quests that we have just not had a chance to run through in the PTR yet. So basically, a lot of content. And speaking of content, we got to talk about delves, especially because gilded crests will be coming from delves this season, and that means it's actually time to take delve content properly seriously. So, in-game, Brand tells us that a tier 11 bountiful delve will drop gilded crests 3 times a week. Now, there's 2 new delves. We've got Side Street Sluice and Excavation Site 9.
Tier 11 bountiful will drop gilded crests 3 times a week. So there's a reason to do a delve that's not tier 8.
And they're, I would say, more of the same gameplay-wise. I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just delves are delves. These are more delves, and basically it's good to have new ones and more variety in the pool, but it's not like these play in some crazy, fundamentally different way. One thing they do quite well, though, is diversity. So one of them is like proper goblin sewers and sneaking about. The other one is full-on Black Blood versus Titan ruins that really, really does look amazing. But gameplay-wise, and especially those higher levels,
That's cool.
brand tanking could truly be a game changer for people who want to progress in their delves now, and that's just because when Brand's there, it really does take a ton of stress away when you're healing or DP.
You're not healing Brand. I see how you cut the footage right before Brand's about to die. That doesn't... I mean... Yeah, I guess it would take the stress away if you're just not healing him. He's the one with all the stress.
Yes,
what the... You can't just cut it there.
It's like having a hunter pet
Heal him.
doing the tanking for you. Basically, it just means that you get to focus on the damage and the mechanics instead of having to self...
After this patch, Brand's gonna be like, look, I can't tank anymore. I'm not tanking in this game.
heal through
that was
lots
a
of
sneaky
incoming light
edit.
damage. Taking a look at Bran, well, he's pretty cool with his big new shield. Those two delves aren't the only content additions, though, so most of the other delves are going to be getting another variant, and we've got another NPC like Zakfir, but basically he's not on the PTR yet, and we don't even know who he is going to be, so that could be kind of cool. Anyway, this is the short version of the PTR stuff. We've basically been going ham into PTR over the last few days,
Pretty
but obviously
good
there's so much more to dig into,
Let
so
me give you the
look
link.
forward to more of that in the coming days.
So you
But if
can
you
drop
want
a
a deeper
like,
look into the marksmanship hunter
drop a
changes,
sub.
well, you can check out this video next.
For our good friend Bellular, and I gotta say 11.1 is looking amazing. I think it's gonna be super cool. I am a goblin enjoyer, and like I said before, anytime I did goblin quests in this game, they were always pretty well done. I always thought the goblin humor was fun, and that goblins, more than any other race, are really, I think, the best at the social commentary, because I've always felt that goblins were more like humans than humans are in this game. You know, they deal with much more realistic problems than I'd say any other race in the game. They deal with pollution, they deal with greed, they deal with exploitation, and just trying to get by, trying to make a buck, you know. And so it's pretty easy to find goblins relatable in this, since we live in a society and all that. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm excited about the patch very much, but there's a couple things I don't like at all. I don't like losing my pet on marksman, even though I get that it's a trade-off. I just want to be able to glamour the eagle to be my fairy dragon. And the other thing I really don't like is the change to the lightning bolt animation on shaman. I like the lightning to connect with the target because it makes it feel unique compared to throwing balls of other bullshit like you do on every other caster in the game. Like, I think the lightning bolt is very unique, and I hope they don't do anything to chain lightning, because chain lightning especially is a super cool animation because you see it connect to the first target, connect. It's very exciting. It's awesome. Okay, it's part of why I like shaman so much. So yeah, I hope that I don't know. I hope that they reconsider and just try to add the connecting bolt, because that's how you know you got them, and you really zapped them good. Yeah, shaman is so good. Some dev never saw lightning before. Bring them to Florida for real.